So we got week 7. We had a lot of big things happen this week, I would say, injury wise, and just in general with, just the way the league happened this week. I would say a lot of unexpected wins came in this week as well. So we're going to dive into all of that. But, I think the biggest one, that Chris Godwin injury, man, that was so unfortunate, and that's going to completely change, I think, the NFC because of that injury alone. But, a little early to tell, but let's get into it. So, hold on. So typically, I usually always go over the Broncos game last, but in this case, just because they did play Thursday, I'm just going to kind of go over this game. So, a couple days leading up to this game, tons of injuries came out from the Saints. And I would say these injuries were mainly from just them not being able to get healthy before Sunday. Being that this is a Thursday game, obviously they weren't going to get enough time to, recover. And the people that were banged up on the Saints just didn't have enough time to get to, get to Thursday healthy. So, they were going to be out Chris Olave, Raheed Shaheed, who else? Obviously Derek Carr. I think there was one offensive lineman, some defensive players. So Saints were going into this game pretty banged up. And I just, this score is nothing more than what I had expected. If this score would have been, the Saints having more points or us having less points, I would have been a little bit frustrated just because that's something that should not have happened. If anything, we should have scored more points. There was no excuse or reason for us to lose this game just because of the amount of substantial injuries that the Saints did have. As you can see here, we ran the ball very well, 225 total yards to the Saints' 97 total. Bo Nix didn't throw any touchdowns, also didn't throw any picks. Their backup quarterback did throw a touchdown, a complete garbage time touchdown, literally nothing at all important, but big defensive win. We were playing lights out all three phases, and we were dominating the Saints in every aspect of this game. So big win. Obviously, it was something that I expected. This, if they had all their starters and we did this, man, what an amazing win this would have been. But a win is a win. I'm not, not going to sit here and discredit the Broncos, but this is a win this was a dominant win that they should have had. And, luckily they did. But big win for the Broncos. Have a positive winning record going into the end of October. Pretty crazy. So hopefully they keep this win streak going. Next, we have the Sunday morning game in London. We had the Patriots and the Jaguars. I had the Jaguars winning this game just because they always at least win one of the games in London. And last week, I just knew that they weren't going to be able to win that game. So this week, I was like, they have to beat the Patriots. And it was looking not too great, to be honest. They were losing 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then they just unleashed everything at the end right there. But a big win for the Jaguars, getting their second win of the season. Patriots are going to probably get some crazy receivers in this upcoming draft because they have nobody to catch the ball. And run game, speaks for itself. Patriots had 38 total rushing yards for the day. So just kind of how the game went. Not really sure how they were even able to score points, but yeah. Either way, big win for the Jags. Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby completely took out Christian Kirk and what's his name? Travis Etienne. So Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, they're out of there. Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby are now in. Be on the lookout for either of those two players to be traded in these upcoming weeks. Maybe, if not, they're definitely going to get traded after this season. Next, we have the Seahawks going to Atlanta. I had the Falcons winning this game. I really thought they were going to just slaughter the Seahawks, to be honest. Geno Smith had a great game, 207, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Kirk Cousins really couldn't get anything going, 232, a touchdown, and 2 picks. The run game for both teams was doing pretty well. Kenneth Walker, 69 yards and a touchdown. Bijan, 103 and a touchdown. It just came down to these turnovers. Sorry about that. It just came down, honestly, to the defense for the Seahawks. The defense played outstanding. They obviously the 2 turnovers, but I mean just the 3 and outs, the continuous stops that they were doing and capitalizing on the offense. I mean, they scored in every quarter. That's how you win games. Continuously score in every single quarter. You can't have a quarter where you don't score and expect to win unless your team is just capable of going off within any given time. You have to keep the offense scoring at least field goals. You know what I mean? Every team should score no less than 12 points a game. 12 points is the minimum. But honestly, tough loss for the Falcons and just a really big win, I would say, for the Seahawks to kind of keep their season alive. It looked like it was just rotting away. So they got lucky. Not really going to touch base too much on this game. The Titans and the Bills. Titans going to Buffalo just to get destroyed by the Bills. This game was pretty pathetic on multiple levels. One being the Bills' defense was relentless against the Titans. Mason Rudolph didn't have a great game. And, I mean, I would say the weapons for the Titans it's unbelievable. Tony Pollard is probably their only efficient offensive weapon. I would have thought with Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, and DeAndre Hopkins, with some, rookie receivers, that they would be able to help out whoever's playing quarterback. That's just not the case. This Titans offense is horrible. Probably, in my opinion, worse than the Dolphins without Tua. So they need to get that figured out because this is pathetic. They're not utilizing any of their players correctly. Offensive coaching is just out of whack. I honestly can't even name any defensive players for the Titans. Like, I'm dead ass. I cannot think of any defensive players for the Titans. That's how little playmakers they have. That's probably one of the worst rosters in the league, for sure. So, they're definitely going to be a top pick. Honestly, they can use anything. They could use offense, defense, on the line, skill position. They need it all. Not really a lot to go over, except Amari Cooper getting his first touchdown as a Bill, being his first catch as well. So maybe the Bills kind of are a sleeper team going into this because they played a lot of easy teams this season, and their record's only 5-2. They should be 7-0. So maybe this turns the season around, but either way, Amari Cooper, big pickup for Josh Allen and the Bills. Next we have the Bengals going to Cleveland. I'm pretty sure, if you had the Bengals losing this game, you just don't know football or are completely delusional. Big story of the day, Deshaun Watson getting his Achilles blasted. So he will need, obviously surgery and a recovery. So I think this injury is just a stamp on the envelope for being the worst possible trade. Or not even trade, but I would say, was it a trade? The Deshaun trade? Yeah. The Deshaun trade had to be probably one of the worst trades in sports history. Not even football. This is sports. You signed the Cleveland Browns signed one of the dumbest contracts in sports history, and he has produced you nothing. And you fully guaranteed his contract, so he has zero motivation. He doesn't really have to play because you signed a contract agreement, and now he's out for the rest of the year. So he hasn't been productive for, a total of maybe, he's been on the team for 3 years, 3 seasons, and with him going down this season and going down a majority of his first season, I don't even know how many games he's played within 3 seasons, but it has to be no more than 20. So he hasn't even played that much. He's played less than 67% of the games. This has to be it has to be the worst. It has to be. So him being down, the fact that they kept him starting though, it's like they were trapped. They had to start him, you know what I mean? So Jameis Winston is going to take over from here on out. We'll see how he does. There's not a lot of highlights of this game. The Bengals beat the Browns. That's the highlights. It should have been more points for the Bengals for sure, but that's the big thing, the Deshaun Watson injury. So we'll see what they do. Nick Chubb, first game back, he did get a touchdown. Welcome back, Nick Chubb. 22 yards. Didn't really do much. Can't do much with a trash team, so I kind of don't like how Nick Chubb is very loyal. He's one player that should not be loyal. Like, go to a better team, Nick Chubb. Do not stay on the Browns. But I guess he just loves Cleveland. Next, we had a really good game with the Texans and the Packers. Packers showed off their new uniforms, the all whites. They looked pretty good. I would have liked their face masks to be green. I feel like that would have been pretty cool. But that kind of, erases the whole all white. But either way, CJ Stroud didn't do anything this game. 86 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Jordan Love, 220, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Roughly did about the same if you look at it. You know what I mean? Joe Mixon continuing to be amazing pickup for the Texans. 25 carries, 115, 2 touchdowns, along with 9 receiving yards. Josh Jacobs, 76 yards, no touchdowns, no rushing touchdowns for the Packers this game, but the receiving core was going crazy for Green Bay. Romeo Doubs, 94 yards. Datavion Wicks, 48 yards and a touchdown. Tucker Kraft, the tight end, had 33 and a touchdown. Josh Jacobs had, is this his first receiving touchdown or his second receiving touchdown of his career? Pretty big deal. The defense for the Texans was helping this game be as close as it was, but man, the Texans' offensive line is horrible. They are horrible. They give CJ Stroud 0 time to make plays. So, they're going to... The Texans have a lot of cap, I think, going into this next offseason. They are going to unload, not only in the draft, but in free agency. They're going to, other than Laramie Tunsil, I think the entire starting offensive line is getting the boot. I think they're going to sign 2 guys in the draft and then sign 2 free agents for the offensive line because CJ Stroud has 0 time. Plus, it gives them enough time, this season to get chemistry with Diggs. Obviously, build a better chemistry with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I think next year the Texans are going to be not only better, but even more dangerous offensively. So keep an eye out on that. But close game, came down to last second field goal by Brandon McManus. Joined the team this week for the Packers. So there's that. So close game, big win for the Packers. Next we have the Dolphins going to Indianapolis. I wouldn't say that this was a toilet bowl, but this was kind of the toilet bowl. Anthony Richardson only 129 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Tyler Huntley 87 yards and a touchdown. Devon Achane 77 yards. Raheem Mostert 50 yards. That's pretty much their running back. Jalen Wright had 33 today. Anthony Richardson led the team in rushing with 56. Jonathan Taylor was still not active for this game, but I believe he's going to be active for this next upcoming game. Not a lot to go over this game. It was a very bleak offensive performance by both teams. Very defensive because, these defenses are a lot better than their offenses. Honestly, I think they would have won by a lot more if Joe Flacco was starting. Next we have the Lions going to Minnesota for probably the best 12 o'clock game this week. We had Jared Goff playing pretty perfect, honestly. 282 touchdowns, no picks, perfect passer rating. Sam Darnold, 259, a touchdown and a pick. Could have played a little bit better. Jahmyr Gibbs, 116, 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery didn't really do much this game. Aaron Jones had a great game, 14 for 93, 6.6 a carry with a touchdown. Amon St. Brown had a great game, 112 and a touchdown. Khalif Raymond had a 20-yard touchdown. Justin Jefferson had a great game, 81 and a touchdown. And Jordan Addison had 66 yards and 1 drop touchdown. So this game could have been very different. I knew this game was going to be a toss-up, 50-50 either way. Defense for the Lions just played a little bit better when they needed it the most. But honestly, this was a great performance by Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, and the offensive line. So big win for the Lions, division game, and gave the Vikings their first L. Next we had the Eagles going to New York to play the Giants. Saquon's homecoming game. I mean, you would be stupid to not think that they would not run the ball like crazy this game. Jalen Hurts 114 and a touchdown. Daniel Jones 99 yards and no touchdown. They actually put Drew Lock in at the end of the game just because they were getting beat so bad. Saquon 17 carries for 176 and a touchdown. 10 yards a carry. Probably one of the most dominant stat lines of Saquon's professional career. Kenneth Gainwell also played really great, 56 yards. Teron Tracy Jr. and the rest of the Giants running back core couldn't do anything. 76 total rushing yards. The defense played great all the way around. There was no offensive production by the Giants this game due to bad quarterback play by Daniel Jones and also great defensive play by the Eagles. The Eagles were on something this game. Obviously, division rival. You're going into their home. It was just a big win for the Eagles. Everything. Morale, division, the record. This was just a dominating win for the Eagles. Not really much to go off of outside of Saquon just kind of taking over. One thing I would like to point out is Devontae Smith absolutely selling my fantasy team. 1 catch for -2 yards. Thanks, Devontae. Next we had the Raiders going to LA. I just felt that with the current state of the Raiders, they just could not beat the Rams, and that was the truth. Gardner Minshew 0-3. 154, no touchdowns, 3 picks. Matthew Stafford 154, same yards, no touchdowns, but only 1 pick. Alexander Madison had probably his best game of his career, 92 yards. no touchdowns though. And Kyren Williams, probably the best running back in the league right now. I said it. I think Kyren Williams is the best running back in the league right now. Stat for stat, he puts up consistent numbers, scores touchdowns for the team, and just helps out in all aspects. Blocking, receiving, rushing. I mean, he's the best running back in the league right now, in my opinion. Derrick Henry's up there. He's right next to him. Close second. Kyren Williams, man. He's keeping the Rams season that much more alive. Go watch his tape. He's something special. Brock Bowers, 93 yards and no touchdowns. He is obviously becoming the most efficient player on the Raiders right now on the offensive side of the ball. So, once he gets a little bit more help, he's going to be obviously more dominant as the years go on. But until then, he's still going to put up good numbers, But once teams start to figure out, like, oh, this is their only target, the Raiders are not going to put up points, I'll tell you that. But big defensive game as well. I mean, 3 picks, seal the game. They had to put in Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell actually started this game, and then he ended up fracturing or breaking his thumb or something, so Gardner Minshew is going to be taking over. They actually did sign Desmond Ridder to the roster as well, so keep in mind if Gardner Minshew starts playing pretty bad, if Desmond Ridder tries to revive his career. Next, we have the Panthers going to Washington. Honestly, there's not a lot of, to go over this game. Andy Dalton, didn't play great. The rest of the offense didn't play great. And then you have, the Commanders. Jaden Daniels actually goes down, and then Marcus Mariota has to actually come in. He plays great, but the run game for the Commanders is what really just took things off. Not to mention, the defense for the Commanders played great. They held the Panthers, obviously, to only 1 garbage time touchdown. So, not really a lot to go over this game, except kind of a blowout. Next, we have the Chiefs going to San Francisco. I did have the 49ers winning this game, and of course, as soon as I picked the other team that plays the Chiefs, Brock Purdy does 212, no touchdowns, and 3 picks. Patrick Mahomes has not played a great game this entire season. 154 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 picks. Kareem Hunt is insane, and I'm not sure why he was never on a team. 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Mason, 58 yards, no touchdowns. Brock Purdy had 2 rushing touchdowns for 27 yards. George Kittle, 92 yards, had a great game. Kind of messed up his foot, so we'll see how that goes. Brandon Ayuk, of course, tears his ACL against who? The Chiefs. So that sucks. And Deebo Samuel had ammonia, so that's great. So that's something that only happens when you're playing the Chiefs. So not really much to go over there, other than Mahomes trucking some dude off of the 49ers secondary. Well, the Broncos are cursed. The Broncos are just cursed. Case Keenum plays great with every team that he's on except us. Joe Flacco plays great with every team that he's on except us. Russell Wilson. He has never had a game like that with us. Full control. 9 yards per, completion. 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was playing great. And he had a rushing touchdown. 3 total touchdowns for Russell Wilson. I don't even remember the last time he had 3 total touchdowns with us the entire game. Breece Hall, Breland Allen, they did nothing. Aaron Rodgers, 2 horrible interceptions, 1 touchdown, 276 yards. Breece Hall, though, 103 receiving yards off of a giant chunk play. George Pickens, 111 and a touchdown. I mean, this is insane, dude. Like, this was an upset, in my opinion. The Steelers had no business, beating the Jets. And I'm going to say it right now. Also, Devontae Adams' first game as a Jet. This is one of the worst teams in the league. I'm going to say it. It's one of the worst teams in the league. The culture there, it's not there. The chemistry, not there. Random players. They have great players. I mean, you have Breece Hall, Breland Allen. Your backfield's good. Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Devontae Adams, Mike Williams. You have great receivers. Aaron Rodgers is playing like absolute garbage. I don't know. Is the Jets signing Aaron Rodgers one of the worst signings in franchise history? Probably. He hasn't done anything this year. So we'll see how he progresses. He's also really old, out of his prime. And it sucks to see Aaron Rodgers like that because, prime Aaron Rodgers was unstoppable and extremely entertaining to watch. This is a completely different Aaron Rodgers. He's just complaining, looking pissed off the whole time, and playing horrible. It's not fun football to watch. Next we have the Ravens going to Tampa Bay. And let me just say, Derrick Henry, Lamar, insane combo. They finally realized giving the ball to Derrick Henry equals success. So once the Ravens figured that out, they're just going crazy. Lamar Jackson, 281, 5 touchdowns, perfect passer rating, no interceptions. Derrick Henry, 169, 11 yards a carry, no touchdowns. Rashad Bateman, 121, 30 yards a catch, and a touchdown. Justice Hill, backup running back, had 44 yards and a touchdown. Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns, had a great game. And back on the Bucs side, Baker had 2 really bad picks, 3 touchdowns. Rashad White had 40 yards, no touchdowns. Bucky Irving had 23 yards and a touchdown. And Mike Evans goes down with, I believe it was on an incompletion or it was on his touchdown grab. I'm not really sure. But, he re-injures his hamstring that he was already kind of dealing with. So he's probably going to be out for at least 3 weeks, maybe 4. And then garbage time, Bucs are going to lose regardless. And Roquan Smith hip drop tackles Chris Godwin, dislocates his ankle. A horrible injury, just a horrible, unnecessary injury. That's the second injury this year where could have been avoided. Aiden Hutchinson could have been avoided. Chris Godwin's injury right here could have been avoided. Bro, y'all are not going to win the game. Y'all have 1 minute and, no timeouts. The probability of y'all winning that game is low. And for Roquan Smith to do that type of tackle that late, it's dude, they're not going to win. Just tackle him to get him on the ground. Y'all already have the game won. Why are you doing such a dangerous tackle right there? I feel like the fine for $11,000 is a little low for, Roquan Smith there. So this changes everything, for the division. Their 2 main receiving targets are out. Chris Godwin out for the season, and he's a free agent going into next season. Mike Evans is out for at least 3 weeks. The Bucs, man, their defense has been struggling. It's not looking good for the Bucs, man. The Bucs are in a really, really, really bad spot. So we'll see. We'll see what they do, but it's not looking good. Next, we had the last Monday night game. We had the Chargers going to Arizona. Honestly, the Chargers, man, should have easily won this game. Easily won this game. The Jalen Reagor catch, fumble, touchdown, and then it turns to a touchback. Insane. J.K. Dobbins, he only did 40 yards. He didn't really do anything that crazy, but the offense itself was not allowing him to go crazy. Honestly, this game wasn't even won by the Cardinals. It was just the Chargers giving them this win. The Cardinals barely won on a last-second field goal. Keep in mind, it was a close field goal, but the refs and Jalen Reagor are the reason why the Chargers lost this game. The calls in this game, usually I would really hate for the Chargers to get this type of win. But man, they got screwed over by the refs really, really bad here. So we'll see how everything goes moving forward, but tough loss for the Chargers here. Next, we're going on to picks of the week. For this Thursday, I do have the Vikings beating the Rams. So we'll see. Not really sure if Puka and Cooper Kupp are going to play or not, so we'll see how that goes. For the 12 o'clock games, we do have the Vikings going to the Browns. Obviously, the Ravens are going to win that. Titans are going to go to Detroit. I mean, they just traded DeAndre, so I truly doubt they're going to do anything. So Lions are going to win that game pretty easily as well. Cardinals going to Miami. I do have the Dolphins winning this game just because Tua's coming back. We'll see how the receivers Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are going to play. Especially with the Cardinals defense barely able to hold on to the Chargers offense. I would think that the Dolphins are going to put up more of a actual attack. I do have the Jets beating the Patriots, but I would not be surprised at all if the Patriots win this game. I do have the Falcons beating the Bucks, obviously due to the Bucks' injuries right now. We have a really good game with the Bears and the Commanders. I do have the Commanders with this winning this game, so we'll see how that goes. 50-50, it's a toss-up. Next, we have the Packers going on to play the Jaguars. I do have the Packers winning that game. Just obviously for, the Jaguars don't really have, I think, a good enough defense to stop that Green Bay offense. Next, we have the Colts going to Houston. Have the Texans winning that game. Home game, division game, coming off of a loss. Saints going to LA. I have the Chargers winning that game. The Bills going to Seattle. Close game, but I think the Bills are going to be able to win that. This is a 50-50 game with the Eagles and the Bengals. I'm just picking the Eagles. I feel like they're going to have a better game, honestly, than last week. Next, we have the Panthers going to Denver. I have the Broncos winning that game just because of Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen and Bryce Young starting. Next, we have the Chiefs going to Vegas. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to win that game. Hopefully, they don't. Next, we have Dallas going to San Francisco. I'm picking the 49ers for this game. And for our Monday night game, the Giants are going to Pittsburgh. I do have the Steelers. For this, I think this outside of maybe 2 picks, everything is going to be correct here. But that's pretty much it. We will see how these games go. Hopefully these games are going to be as good as last week. So, keep your fingers crossed. Either way, I will see y'all next Saturday or next Friday when this next video is going to be up. So, until then, I'll see y'all later.